Hi, it's Annie Grace, author of This Naked Mind and The Alcohol Experiment. And today I have an awesome question that was written in for the podcast, and it was saying, "Hi Annie, I feel I'm beginning a transformation, and I've known for a long time that I don't want to drink anymore. When I started a diary, it became apparent that I seek alcohol as a secret, sneaky pleasure that I just cannot say no to. When I was a child, I would sneak lollipops or ice cream. Once I discovered alcohol, then I snuck alcohol. The pleasure was secret and was the substance. The main reason I find that I relapse is that I don't think I can live a life where I'm 100% good or as good as I can be. I seem to have this deep-seated need to have a private, secret outlet or vice, or otherwise it feels like my life is missing something. I get a couple of weeks sober, and then I think a sober life is too pure and good and I need a break from it all. I'm a conformist, but I harbor these rebellious inclinations. What can I do to satiate my wild side as a wife and mother and yet stay sober?" Chelsea. So Chelsea, this is such an incredibly good question. I think that there's things that keep us drinking, right? And there's thoughts about really three things I've discovered after talking to thousands and thousands and thousands of people that keep people drinking. Thought number one is beliefs that we have about the substance. So the substance does something for us. So if you're drinking because you feel like the substance relaxes you, or you feel like the substance loosens you up, or it calms your nerves or whatever. So the substance, alcohol, actually does something for you, and that's your belief. And we can blow through those beliefs pretty easily with science. Those are really easy, really simple. We blow through them because most of those are just not true, or if they're true, they're only true for 20, 30 minutes, and then they're not true at all, and they make the situation worse. And then there's a second layer of beliefs, and these are thoughts about society. And these are the things where other people are pressuring you to drink. Maybe you don't feel like your marriage, you'll connect as well, or maybe you don't feel like you're fit in at that wedding, or you'll be part of that group, or whatever the case is. And so society is a little bit harder, and we have to dig a little bit deeper, and we have to really explore those reasons. But then there's the third reason that people drink when they don't want to. And this is a belief about self. Okay, so there's something going on here with your belief about who you are, or who you're supposed to be, or who you're not, or how you're not good enough. And that belief, not only is it the one that is the most insidious, because it keeps us drinking like well beyond where we logically know we want to stop, as is very clear from your note, but it also can be very, very tricky to narrow in on what those beliefs actually are. So in your case, you're saying, how can I satisfy my wild side? How can I satisfy this rebellious tendency I have that is filled with sneaking alcohol? And to me, what that signals is really this belief that is beneath that. So kind of the behavior is, well, I'm drinking because I can, right? I can do it. I can have it. I can sneak it. It can feel good. It feels a little racy. It feels a little naughty. It feels on the edge. But there's something below that. And the question then becomes, well, why is it that you feel this need to do something that nobody else knows about? Why is it that you feel this need to do something that is like, rebellious and racy and naughty and whatever the case is, whether it's like sneaking lollipops when you were a kid or now with the alcohol? And so for me, if we get to the why instead of the what is actually like, how can I satisfy that wild side? The why is like, well, what is that wild side? Where is this coming from? I think we can really look at a few things. And the reason I know so much about this one specifically is because I'm right there with you. Like, I had the same feeling both with alcohol and marijuana, that I could sneak away and I could do it and nobody had to know. And, and it felt like good. It felt affirming. It felt like, okay, and here's what I really discovered for myself, and maybe some of these ring true for you, is number one, it felt like freedom. Sneaking away and doing something that nobody else knew about felt like freedom to me. I was like, oh, I'm free. I have autonomy. I'm totally in control. I'm a grown-up. This moment of this day, there's not anybody else in control of my life. I'm not doing what my kids want me to do, or what my husband thinks I should be doing, or what, my colleagues want me to do, or my boss wants me to do. None of that. I was free, right? Another belief that I discovered is I believed that alcohol, like that sneaking away, rebellious feeling, made me feel like I was in control. It made me really think, okay, I've got control now of my life. I have this piece of it that I have just for me that, again, I have total control over and I feel completely empowered by. And I feel like, okay, this is really the thing that is like itching that need for me to be controlling. Because, by the way, when I was drinking a lot, nothing in my life I felt like I had control over. I didn't have control over my job or how much I was traveling or how little I was seeing my kids. You know, young kids in the house, you don't have any control over that. You don't know when they're going to throw their next tantrum in the store, or, you know, who's getting injured. I mean, it's just so little control. And so it was this moment of time where I felt like, oh, I have control here. And really, when I uncovered those things, because it wasn't that I needed this rebellious outlet, is that I needed to feel more control. I needed to feel more freedom in my life. And when I saw that, and I was able to apply the ACT technique to it, the ACT technique is a technique that I teach in the alcohol experiment. And it's really 3 steps: awareness, clarity, and turnaround. And I say, okay, what is awareness? Is this belief that I believe sneaking drinking feels like freedom. I believe sneaking drinking feels like control. And then I could look at where that came from. I could really, that's clarity, that's the next step. And I could really unwind it and say, okay, I believe that really came from this, you know, a lifelong need of having something just for me. You know, there was another belief in there that was tied in, and it was independence. I wanted to be independent. I wanted to be on my own. I wanted to have this, like, this is just for me. I'm indulging myself. So there was this whole layer of just like self-indulgence, and, you know, nobody needed to know. And it was like this really specific for me. And when I uncovered that, and I could say, okay, is alcohol actually doing these things for me? Is it actually giving me freedom? And the 3rd step of ACT is a turnaround. And I could be like, okay, let me think of all the ways that alcohol gives me freedom. And then let me turn that around and think of all the ways that alcohol takes my freedom. And I would start to see that alcohol really made me feel trapped. Alcohol made me want more alcohol. Alcohol kept me stuck. I do the same thing with control. Let's look at all the ways that alcohol gives me control over my life. And then let's look at all the ways that alcohol takes my control away. You know, when I'm talking about, you know, gossiping at 2 a.m. out at the bar with colleagues, like, I don't have any control. And then when I'm picking up the pieces the next day of who knows what I said and trying to piece it back together, I didn't feel control at all. I actually felt less in control. And then I looked at independence. You know, what are the ways that alcohol is making me independent, fixing that need for independence? And what are the ways that it's really taking that away? And when I did that work, that idea of being like the rebellious one who just like wanted to, and I so believed that was what was at the center, was just, oh, but it feels so good and so naughty and so dangerous to just sneak away and, you know, have a puff of a joint or drink a few drinks or whatever, and nobody has to know. And I really, when I understood that it wasn't that I wanted to be a rebel, it wasn't that I wanted to be rebellious, it's that I wanted to feel that sense of freedom and independence and control. And when I started to really say, well, is alcohol truly delivering that for me, or is it taking it away? That's when I just gained so much clarity about the fact that, wow, the thing that I think is giving me this freedom, this independence and control is really sabotaging all of those things for me. And now, you know, I can find much, much healthier ways to fill that need that we all have for independence and freedom. It's one of the, you know, it's one of the key things that human beings, we need to feel in control of our own lives. We need to feel free. We need to feel independent. So it's such a good question, Chelsea. And it's so layered, so multi-layered in terms of why we keep drinking secretly and why that feels so naughty and dangerous and good and all at once. And I just really appreciate it, because it was certainly something that I felt like I struggled with. So I hope that helps, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day.